We got one from 2010 today. This is Altitude. There's another movie that was released after it that was way bigger, and I don't really know much about it, but that's not this one. This is the one about tentacles in the sky attacking airplanes. So, spoiler alert, you know the drill. You've been warned. I'm going to be talking about the film, and I'm going to eventually be spoiling the ending and various scenes. So if you don't want to hear it, watch the damn movie and turn this off. Hooray. Okay, you've been warned. So our first scene, we have little boy and his family in the airplane, and they're flying through the air, and there's some turbulence, and basically it's just an exposition essentially. So whatever happens there, he's got like a little comic book, and his parents are like telling him it's going to be okay, and then a plane crashes right into them, and you see the kid falling from his perspective or whatever, and that's the scene. So there's your exposition. We find out later it affects two characters specifically, but I'll get into that eventually. So we now cut to the modern time. We have our main character, Sarah, who is an amateur pilot, who is talking to her dad on the phone about a trip she's going to be taking. Now, she's lying to her dad, essentially, and saying that she's going to be driving because, well, let's go back to that exposition. The person in the plane that was flying was her mom, and she died in that plane crash. So there you go. There's exposition number one out of the way. Anyway, obviously dad is kind of worried about that, doesn't want that to happen to her, so she says she's driving, even though she is going to be flying. So she, I guess, is confident enough in her abilities to fly for 90 minutes to get to where they want to go, instead of driving like 4 hours or whatever it's going to take. So she rents a plane, etc., meets her friends on the tarmac. First to arrive are Mel and Sal, who are a little couple item thingy. And then followed by Corey, who's, I guess, the third wheel. And then Bruce, who's kind of a offbeat, kind of timid dude. A little socially awkward, but he is apparently Sarah's tutor / partner for now. So, that's fun. Right away, Sal's like, are you sure that your dad is cool with us flying? You know, because, you know, your mom died and everything. And Mel's like, dude, like, really? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. It's all good. Side note, Sal's an asshole. So, I mean, just get that out of the way. So that no one's asking, well, why would you do that? Well, the answer is he's an asshole. So any scene moving forward where Sal does something fucking stupid, that's why, because he's just a dick. Anyway. Yeah, they're all good. They get into the airplane. It's a 2-propeller like Cessna. They're all Cessnas pretty much, right? So I don't know much about civilian aircraft, but whatever. Anyway, they get into it. They tarmac and they fly off, and everything seems good, sort of. We've got there's a little exposition too, because it's apparently like, okay, Bruce is more into Sarah than Sarah is into him. So there's even a scene before the takeoff where she's like, it's our last weekend together, you know, let's just make it fun or whatever. And he's like, last weekend? So he's obviously thinking things are gonna go further than that. But she's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to McGill University after this. So that's in Montreal, for those who don't know. I think it is, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, they mentioned Montreal a bunch, so I'm gonna assume. Yeah, so she'll be in another city. You can't do long distance. I mean, you can, but I mean, for a fling that short, is it worth it? I don't know, whatever. So she's like, don't worry about it, let's just have fun. You know, we're gonna go on this camping trip or whatever it is, and it's all good. So they all load into the plane and take off and whatnot. And she's doing all her test things and everything, and she seems to know what she's doing pretty well. Bruce is incredibly nervous this whole time. We do find out at some point that he was the little boy in the opening scene's crash. So there's your second person that exposition has something to do with. So they're indirectly linked, I suppose. She doesn't know that that's the kid, you know, at this point either. So good times on that one. They go up or whatever, and she's, like I said, she knows what she's doing, sounding kind of, and there's a storm, so she contacts the ground, says, hey, this is Delta Echo, whatever the hell they say in airplane talk. Am I cleared to go to 10,000 feet? And they're like, yeah, okay. And they're like, are we going to be good? She's like, yeah. I'm just, what do they say? She's not instrument rated or something like that, which I feel that if you're not instrument rated, you probably shouldn't be flying, right? Like, again, I'm not a pilot, I don't know much about that, but I have seen some comments saying, like, there's no way they'd let her in the air like that or something like that. But to be honest, I don't even really know what that means. I just assume it's kind of something you need to be if you're being a pilot. She explains along the lines of, like, she needs to keep an eye on the ground or something, or I'm not sure. She needs visibility to be clear, so she's going to go above the storm. Anyway, as they're climbing, there's a bit of turbulence or whatever. Oh no, sorry. So she tells, like, Bruce is all nervous and stuff. She's like, listen, just grab the stick, just hold it straight. You know, you're gonna be good, but you know, give it a shot. It's not that scary. We're gonna be fine. And he's grabbing the stick and he's all nervous, and they hit some turbulence, and obviously everyone is panicking in the background, particularly Sal, saying, what are you doing? Get him off there. You know, all that kind of garbage. And turbulence is turbulence. It's gonna happen, right? So anyway, she lets him hang onto the stick for, like, longer than everyone is comfortable with before she finally takes it back. Unfortunately, the turbulence has shaken out some kind of bolt or something that gets lodged in the tail rudder or whatever it is. The up and down one, not the side to side one. I don't know the difference of the names, but I'm just going to call it the tail rudder. Oh no, it's what are they, ailerons? Is that what it's called? The lift. The lift paddle things, whatever. So anyway, it gets lodged in there, and they're climbing and climbing. She's like, okay, we're at a good altitude, and she goes to put it down, and it's not going down. She's like, we're still climbing. What the hell? Clearly, everyone's panicking, and she's like, okay, get the manual. And then when your friends hear that, obviously they start freaking out. Like, the manual? I thought you said you know how to fly this. Shut up. Bruce, get to the manual, turn to page 5, go to blah, 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 blah. And he does. And they figure out what's wrong, essentially. Like, yeah, the tail is jammed and all that kind of crap. So they're climbing, essentially. The wings even start icing over, which, if you know, is not good for an aircraft. It manipulates the flow of air over and under the wing and can cause, you know, crashes. It's not a good thing. That's why at the airport they always de-ice the wings and whatever. So whatever is happening to this plane, apparently the de-icing mechanism, the in-flight de-icing mechanism, is malfunctioning too. And they're like, you didn't check that? She's like, well, I didn't expect that we'd be going over, you know, 10,000 feet. They're looking at it, it's like 20,000 feet or something. She's like, what the hell? How is that even possible? Anyway, storm is getting a little worse, so they're like, okay. Sarah's like, I gotta steer away from the storm. So she tries to. But as she's steering, it's like the storm's moving, so they're in the storm now. That's just the way it is. They're surrounded by clouds and darkness and rain, and there's absolutely no visibility. And she tries to go to the comms, and excuse me. She goes to the comms, and they can't get to the ground, and no one has a cell signal to call any of the towers or anything like that. So they're like, okay, well, this is great. So they're just flying into the madness. And that's when you have that scene where Sal grabs a comic book and is like making fun of him. Or maybe that was earlier, I don't remember. Anyway, Sal has like 6 different scenes where he's a complete asshole for no reason. He's drinking beers and trying to get everyone else drunk, and everyone's like, no, I'm good. Like, whatever. He's just awful. There's another scene too where it's hinted that Corey and Mel might be having a thing behind Sal's back. Can't blame Mel, in all honesty, because Sal is a piece. That's one thing with the actor. He really made you hate this character. Scripted too, though, mind you. So I don't know who to blame, but he sucks. Anyway, all this keeps happening. There's turbulence. They look, and so in the manual it says the takeoff weight, and they're like, oh shit, and she's adding up in her head manually what she assumes, like the base weight of the airplane plus the 1,000 pounds of fuel plus luggage, whatever one's weight is. She figures, oh shit, we're over. So, like, this is not good. We need to discharge some luggage to reduce the weight. Otherwise, we're gonna, I don't know, stall or whatever. They're not gonna, like, climb properly or something. I don't know. So anyway, they do that, and they're throwing luggage out the side, and Sal sees something in the clouds. It looks like a tentacle. It's like, what the fuck was that? So he's freaking out, and he says, "I seen something, whatever." And everyone's obviously like, "Okay, you're insane, dude. Calm down. You've been drinking too much, whatever." It's dismissed temporarily. You're still lost in the storm, etc. And there doesn't seem to be any way to fix the tail lift thing from inside. So it's like, okay, well, we're kind of in trouble here. I'm going to reduce the speed and see if that helps, but essentially, like, there's no way to fix it without going outside. I'm like, are you insane? Like, outside the airplane while it's flying? She's like, yeah. Anyway, Corey mans up and he's like, fuck it, I'll do it. And they're like, dude, are you sure? And there's a little scene where Mel gives him a little smooch on the lips right in front of Sal. Everyone's obviously like, you could die, etc. And I guess spur of the moment, that she's got the feels and he's got the feels, and Sal gives the fucking side eye, the stink eye, like, okay, what the hell was that? Anyway, well, yeah, there's another scene too where Bruce flips out. He's like, I don't want to die like them, whatever, and he like attacks someone, and it's just the whole thing. So he's tied up to a chair at this point and unconscious. He was put in a sleeper by Sal, and that's the deal. Anyway, Corey's about to jump out. He's got a rope tied. There's a single parachute, but as Sarah explains, like, we have no idea how high we are right now because the instruments are like going crazy. If you're too low, you pull the chute and you're dead, you know what I mean? So you can't do that. And there's only one anyway. They were going to draw straws for it or something. And oh yeah, and then even Corey's like, Mel, you take it. And everyone's like, what the fuck, dude? And Sal flips out and he's like, dude, that's your girlfriend. You want to die? He's like, exactly, that's my girlfriend. I decide. And it's like, okay, dude. Like, again, you're just making yourself the shittiest character in this movie with every single thing that you say. Anyway. So Corey's tied to a rope, and Sal ties it to himself and a chair. I can't remember. There's a little argument or something. He's like, fine, is this good? And he ties it to himself. I guess they assume he's not going to help because he saw the kiss and all that shit. Anyway, whatever. Let's get to the point. So Corey jumps out of the side of the plane, and he's on the rope flying, and he's hanging on, and he's lowered down, and he goes past it and climbs back up, etc. All this whole thing. So he's on the tail, he's kicking it, and the wind is freezing. He's going to be frozen. Like, he's got to get in quickly and deal with this quickly. So he's kicking the fin. Eventually, he gets it to unjam, and they go to pull him back in. But there's turbulence and all that. And something ends up grabbing him and pulling him. So the plane is here, the wings are here, the rope is like that. And we've got plane, Sal now in the air, and Dude Man way the hell over there. So, and you can see the tentacles in this creature's mouth and everything, and it's like some kind of ungodly Eldritch abomination. Very cool design. I enjoy those kind of things, obviously. So, I mean, what are you going to do, right? Sal cuts the rope. I hate to say it, right? What are you going to do? This is the one place where I'm actually like, okay, Sal, you know what? You're an asshole, but, like, the guy's dead. Like, you want to die too and get the whole plane sucked in as well? So, that's what he does. He goes back in. Heavy-hearted. I mean, yeah, sure, he just kissed his girlfriend and everything, but he doesn't want his friend dead or anything. Like, he didn't want him to die. Of course, eventually, Mel notices the rope and calls him out and is like, did you cut the rope? And then he explains, I saw a thing, it had him literally, like, what are you're saying I killed him and stuff like that? And there's a whole other argument. Like, I get that everyone's stressed, but there is so much animosity in the cabin of this aircraft of everyone arguing and blaming everyone else. They're blaming Sarah for being the pilot. I mean, that is somewhat reasonable. They're blaming Bruce for holding the stick when they flew into turbulence the first time, like it's his fault. It's just the whole, everything is everyone else's fault, you know what I mean? They're panicking, so that's fair or whatever, but finally Sarah just snaps like, everyone shut the fuck up. We need to deal with this, okay? I'm the pilot. I'm telling you guys to shut up, sit down so I can think, concentrate, etc. Finally they listen. Anyway, Mel is panicking and she goes up to the front and she's like, I can't do this. This is too much. And Sarah's like, dude, it's okay. Trust me, we're gonna be good. I've got you guys. None of them know about the tentacle thing other than Buddy Boy there. No one believes that thing. They just think he's insane or whatever. And she goes back into the back of the cabin, and then at this point Bruce comes to and he's like, Why am I tied up? Where's Corey? They tell him exactly what happened. Sal says that a thing grabbed him. Everyone's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. It turns out that... Well, we'll get into that later. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm so good at these. I bet you're really glad you tuned in. If you watched until this point and haven't turned it off, you just enjoy chaos, and it's your own fault. So, see, I can do the blame game too. Anyway, where the hell was I? Right, okay. So anyway, lo and behold, when Mel said, I can't take this, that was her basically saying goodbye. Because apparently, she took all of her altitude sickness pills and is overdosing now in a corner. So that's no good. Bruce is untied at this point. He runs over and like gives her CPR, and Sal's like panicking hardcore and freaking out and everything, and it's all good, I suppose, because she comes to, she goes bleh. There you go. Pills expelled. We're all good now. Don't remember how it happens, but again, there's another fight situation where Sal is blaming Bruce for whatever reason, even though he saved his girlfriend. He didn't actually do anything, and he's got his head out the side of the door into the openness of everything, and Sarah, the plane's on autopilot essentially as Sarah comes back and like smokes him in the head with something, and shit. Okay, I missed a major thing. Before that fight scene, I apologize, Mel comes to, and Sal is comforting her and like, it's okay, babe, it's okay. And she's like, well, what about Corey? He's like, don't worry about that. I don't care. We're good. Let's not talk about that right now. I'm just glad you're okay. He's actually showing some signs of being like not an asshole. And I was like, okay, character development. Good job, Sal. And that's when a giant tentacle rips through the wall and grabs Mel, and she goes flying out into the open air, and she's gone. So Mel's dead. Sal's obviously freaking out. That's what spawns the fight, because there's the comic book page, the one that he ripped out, shows exactly what happened on the comic pages. Like the girl getting ripped out and their conversation, like almost word for word. So obviously right away he's like, what the fuck? And he attacks Bruce, and Bruce is like, there. What I just said, has his head out the window of the door of the airplane, and he's going to throw him out, basically. And we got Sarah come to the rescue and smoke him in the head with something, and lo and behold, that's all fun and games. Corey dies too. I don't remember how. Or not Corey. Sal. How did he die again? I don't know. He does, though. He gets grabbed by the creature thing, and I think it's at that scene, actually, where she knocks him over the head, and he, like, falls, and she grabs him to pull him in, but no, something just grabs him, and he goes flying into the nothingness. Or maybe he just falls. I can't remember. Anyway, he goes flying out the side, so it's basically just down to Bruce and Sarah now. So, awesome trip, eh? And Bruce starts explaining, like, this comic, like, everything that happened in the comic is what's happening now. And she's like, what? And he explains the whole situation, like, I never told you, but I actually knew your mother. And she's thinking that he's just some twisted fuck. Like, really, you're gonna lie and tell a story about my dead mother so you can get close to me or whatever, or something along those lines? He's like, no, like, I was the kid in the airplane. I was the one who survived after the crash. And it's like, oh shit, okay, well, I mean, how does that really help in this situation? And he's like, no, listen. In that plane crash, how it happened is what I imagined. I was afraid, and I pictured something happening, and it just happened. So his fear essentially spawns into reality and creates whatever events happen in this reality. So they look at the comic book, and sure enough, there are like big tentacle things in the sky, and they're attacking an airplane, and lo and behold, that's what's happening. So it's all based on his fear. So she's trying to talk to him like, oh my god, okay, we need to deal with this then. If you have the power to manipulate shit, just think us into safety. And he's panicking, and there's another scene too where I don't remember where it is, but the plane flies like directly into this creature's mouth, and it cuts out, and there's a scene of her talking to her mom in the fields, like a flashback or whatever, and they wake her up. Anyway, but that happened earlier. It doesn't really matter, but anyway, he's panicking and things are getting worse, and this creature's like grabbing the plane now, like its tentacles are all around the plane in midair, and she's like, just wish it away, just wish it away. He's like, I can't. So she gives him a little kiss, and that snaps him right the hell out of it, because he's like obviously in love with her or whatever, and she knows that that'll kick him out, and sure enough it does. Everything's good, the sky is clear, even the comms start working again, and she's like, okay, that's awesome, and there's like some relief. And then he goes and fucks it up again. He's like, you didn't mean that kiss, did you? She's like, what? You didn't mean that kiss. And she's like, fuck, what do I say? Well, it doesn't matter, because before she can say anything, everything starts slipping back into the storm, the tentacle thing, etc. Smashes through the window, grabs her, pulls her out. He's like holding her, and he basically does mind over matter. I guess she gets to him and says, listen, like, we're both gonna die, like, you gotta figure your shit out, man. Grow a pair and fix this if you have that ability, you know. And lo and behold, he kind of does, and everything snaps out of it. He pulls her back in, and they're flying, but all the, you know, the plane's damaged at this point. She's like, okay, well, if you're gonna work your magic, you better do it now. And he's like, yeah, I already did. And then everything fades to white, and it goes back to, or no, it doesn't, sorry, my bad. I already fixed it. And then they see a plane coming right towards them. It's like a clear sky and everything, and the gears are jammed though. Like, the plane is in rough condition. It's been through hell and back, right? Well, it turns out that this plane coming is the plane from the past that he was on with Sarah's mother when he was a little boy. Whatever, sure, that happens. But they just, like, instead of hitting this time, they narrowly miss. And that's when she kind of says, yeah, like I said, like, all the things are damaged and everything. That's like, they survived. You think they made it and whatever. And like I said, if you want to do something now, like, I have no ability to fly this plane. It's in rough shape. Like, I couldn't even steer away. They steered away. You do something now. And he's like, I already did. And then it fades to white. So, sorry, my bad. Getting ahead of myself. Anyway, cuts to white, fades to them on the ground as kids. So her mom's there. Little girl, Sarah, comes running up. Mom, blah, blah, blah. Little boy, Bruce, is all safe and his parents are safe. And, oh my god, do you think the other plane made it? I hope so. And there's a nice little, hi, I'm Sarah, hi, I'm Bruce, and they hold hands, and that's the end. So, yeah, I mean, it's, as usual, my descriptions of these films are, like, a little bit sporadic, but you know what? Maybe that's good. Maybe that means, hey, maybe I'll watch the movie for myself and figure it out, because this rambling idiot on this fucking $2 video that I saw on YouTube couldn't get the story right, and I couldn't follow what he was saying, so whatever. Anyway, what did I think of this film? Well, love the concept. Anything like Eldritch, like sky octopus creatures, like, I love that stuff. And the special effects for the creature were actually pretty good. I have no idea what the budget of this movie was. A lot of the scenes in the cabin made it look like it was like for a TV movie. Like, you know how it has that TV movie lighting, kind of? A lot of the exterior, like through the windows inside the aircraft, is just white. So, like, I feel that they didn't have the budget to do too much crazy outside cloud stuff. So it's just like, okay, they're in a storm. It's just the white clouds or the dark clouds. I mean, eventually, when the storm picks up and there's tentacle creatures, they have to change it or whatever. But there were a lot of scenes where it was just white on the outside. So, okay. The acting was what it was. I'm not going to say it was great. Apparently, Sarah, I think it's Sarah I was reading, was in like the 90210 reboot or something. She was probably the best actor out of the bunch. Still nothing huge to write home about. So, I mean, don't expect Oscar performances or anything. But it's for this kind of a movie. It's like TV movie acting. So I'm assuming that this was a TV movie, but I could be horribly mistaken. But the special effects for like the tentacles and all that in the sky looked pretty solid. So all of their budget went to that, I'm assuming, which was a smart move because that's the part that you want to look good, right? Like if that looked really bad and you already have kind of a movie. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. So the tentacle creature looked okay. You know, the exterior of the aircraft, like, I'm pretty sure it was like all CGI, but it wasn't so obnoxiously CGI that, at least not for me, that it took me out of it. In all honesty, the acting and the interior stuff took me out of it more than the creature and all that stuff. So that was fun. The writing, like the script, was not great. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure there are Cals in the world, but like, A, why would he be one of your best friends if he's a piece of shit like that? B, why would Mel be dating this? Well, I shouldn't say that either, because there are shitty relationships out there. He's just not a good character. They could have written him more realistic and still made him be kind of like a punk-ass kid. Like, I feel they just took the idea of, like, I want this guy to be an instigator, and they took it to a level that they didn't need to. So that's fine. Corey, there's like next to no anything about him. He's just kind of the first to go type deal. And I don't know. The guy who played Bruce was okay. Like, he played the part, what he needed to be, nervous and paranoid and a little bit obsessive creeper-ish. And so that was alright. So acting, it was nothing great. The two main leads, I guess, were passable. The rest was... Actually, Mel was okay, too. She didn't really do much, but she was alright. Man. The story itself, again, the concept is great. The way it planned out was very average. Like, going to some, like, MacGuffin camping trip in the middle of nowhere, just a bunch of friends for no reason, just to get them in an entrapped place, right? It was pretty standard stuff for that. I mean, I'm not going to give them too much creative points for that, except for, again, having the Eldritch Sky Octopus. So I'm not going to fail it either. So what is my rating going to be for this one? I'm going to pass it. I don't think many people gave it more than a 5, but I'm going to give it a 5.1. And my reason for that is because I love Eldritch Sky Octopus things. So that instantly gives them points. Everything else in the movie pretty much dragged it down, though, to be completely honest. Would I recommend you watching this film? The scenes with the Sky Octopus thing are pretty good. So I'd say if you want to see that stuff and you're into that stuff, it's worth a watch. It's not super long. I think it's like an hour and a half or just over an hour and a half. So I will give them props also for not dragging it out too long. And I guess that's where my little 0.1 is going to come from, is essentially they did pretty much what they could with what they had, and it was passable. Not a huge recommendation. If you're not into, like, Eldritch Octopus Sky Creatures, that's such a, like, niche thing, right? If you're not into that stuff, you can absolutely skip this one. But that being said, I had fun enough. I'm probably not going to watch it ever again, but it's not like I wasted an hour and a half and I regret watching it. I had enough fun watching it as I could have. Again, the only thing that, like, really irked me is just how much of an asshole they made this Sal guy. If they toned that down, I might have given it like a 5.5 or something like that, but he was unbearable for the most part. So 5.1, final verdict, Altitude, 2010.